So, we thought we would move now into speaking a little bit about some suggestions for how to solidify this sacred identity as a male. I like to use the word sacred woman when I'm talking about priestesses, and I like the corresponding piece of that, sacred man. So that's, I tend to use that even more than priest, but we did use the priest in the publicity because we wanted to jar people a little bit. And we figured it would separate the men from the boys a little bit. But yeah, it does create a lot of ambivalence because also that job description is taken, whereas it isn't for women. So it's a little bit odd for me to be here as a woman helping to co-organize this. I feel almost a little transgressive, and I should probably mention that up front because I understand that the more I've done the sacred work with the women, I understand that there are women's mysteries and there are men's mysteries, and they don't really mix. And unless the two groups actually come together consciously to create that third thing. So we're in a little, I feel like I'm in a little bit of one of those cracks in an earthquake that's kind of getting bigger, and I'm trying to span, my feet over both of them. So there's a little bit of a dis-ease that I have, and almost a feeling like I don't want to come across as arrogant, telling men how to be priests. That's not my thing here. But what I am here to do is share some tricks that I know are working for the women, and I know that do cut across gender, and that might be useful to you because what as I had mentioned, I see a number of sacred men around me, but they seem a little bit isolated, and they don't really often don't have the handle on the ritual component of it unless you are in the pagan world, in which there is a lot of ritual. And some of you may be doing rituals in other groups that I don't know about. So if I had my way, I'd just be wanting to just sit here and listen to all of the wisdom that you have to share. But there might be a little bit more time for that at the end. And we're hoping to continue that thread because I feel that it's through the sharing of the wisdom that each of you have, those pieces, that something's going to come together in a much larger puzzle. And when we were getting these announcements out, and the people were slowly starting to apply but not registering, the deities were just saying to me, "Tell them the deities are calling them." So I had to put that in the PR, And I thought, people who resonate with that will get it, and those are the people who need to be here, because I feel like this is a serious thing. This is not something run-of-the-mill, a little chit-chat men's group type thing. It's really trying to get into this deeper level of what you're all about on the sacred plane. So with that said, I wanted to share last night I did ceremony in advance of this. Often I'll do ceremony. I'll go into ritual altered state space in order to prepare for something big when I'm teaching a whole Women's Day or something like that. And I did that for this. And so some interesting things came through, which I'll just share. The main thing that was coming through was that the nights are not dead. The nights are not over with. And it's important for men to hear that, and some of you already know it. Some of you have a vague memory in the back of your 7 past lives ago. What was that night thing? For some of you it's very live, and some of you it's a totally new idea. But because the Arthurian court seems to work a lot with me, Avalon and all that, they just came through loud and clear, and they wanted to say the quest of the nights is not finished. And basically what they said to me was that what the knights were searching for, that object, was actually a very holy sacred object that was used for magical purposes. And it could be used for good or evil. In other words, to bring joy or pain on the planet. And it was stolen by those who wanted to use it as like a splinter onto the earth plane and like this radio tower to be broadcasting suffering. And so the knights went out to look for this thing because they wanted to get it back and either re-ritualize it or smelt it to transmute it. And it is most likely that it is a grail, a cup, because it represents the feminine in some regard. So they just wanted me to say that the Grail Cup is still out there, and somebody's got to find it. And I got that it was still in Jerusalem. So, you know, these are the types of things that come to me, and so obviously this time around it wouldn't be men on horseback with swords killing people. You know, it can't be that paradigm anymore. But it needs to be something. The search for this thing that is like this radio tower that's beaming out a lot of negativity onto the planet, you know, it needs to be found. And that might be different for each man. It may be a collective quest, or it may be an individual quest, but they just wanted me to tell you that. So that's number one. And it would be interesting, you know, if we had more time to have a whole discussion on that topic, because I have a feeling that a lot of people here resonate with aspects of the knighthood. Okay, so a few ideas for tools that some of you may or may not have, because to really start grasping sacred service again and restoring the holy orders, there's a few things that there's just a few basics that people have to know. And so I work with this with priestesses, and this information comes from my years of experience. It also comes from my years at the Foundation for Spiritual Development for the past 2.5 years, which is a psychic skills development course. And so, you know, one of the things is the grounding trunk or the grounding cord. It's just a number one basic, and for some of you this is going to just seem like so 101, but for others of you it may not. So what I'd like us just to do is just have your feet on the ground and just have an experience of this. Because you cannot really skimp at this level with going up into the higher levels of the esoteric work. You've got to have your command over your personal space. And so if you take a look at your abdomen, just feel your abdomen and feel the whole circumference of your body. And now just become mentally aware of the center of Gaia. And scientists tell us that there's a molten iron crystal that may be at the core of Gaia. And yeah, if you want to close your eyes, it can help. So we're going to ask Gaia permission for you to send your grounding trunk all the way down into her, so that it is not experienced as a violation. And so you see this trunk, the entire circumference of your body, from your pelvis and especially your sexual region, going all the way down into Mother Earth now. All the way the many miles down to that central large, huge, 1,200 mile wide crystal, and see your grounding trunk wrap around that 3 times. And so you're saying hello to Gaia from your masculine core. And then you're going to put your attention on the great cosmic, I call it the cosmic womb, the great womb of all creation. And seeing that as a source of golden light, and seeing that golden light coming all the way down through the central channel of your body. meeting in your abdomen with your grounding trunk. And seeing in front of you a symbol that represents protection. 1, 2, 3. First thing that comes in, what is it? Just put it right in front of you, out in your space. And getting a sense of your energy body, you do not end at the end of your skin. Your energy field extends at least 3 to 5 feet out from you in every direction. Technically, it's infinite, but we will consider you boundaried at 3 to 5 feet. And just visualizing that that's full of energy and that it's now turning into a crystalline gold energy. So what you've created is a circuit with Gaia, the cosmos, yourself, and a protection symbol. And we're going to move now to the chakras. The first chakra is where your perineum is, where you're sitting. And that's the chakra of survival, money, food, shelter. So we're going to just bear with me, just imagine that this is like a kaleidoscope eye, that you're closing a little bit, maybe down to 3% of what it's capable of being open. And your second chakra now is where your genitals are. And you're closing that down just temporarily while we're doing this together for down to about 3% of what it's capable of. These are time-worn. Every tradition knows about these chakras. That governs your sexuality, your relational capability, creativity also. And your third chakra around your navel governs power, will. This is where we can get into arguments and power struggles, and you're just seeing that relax and close down to about 3%. So I'm helping guide you to close these chakras because these are typically the places where we've had a lot of attack on the earth plane. It's where most of our traumas lodge. And so sometimes to get some clarity and calm, just closing these chakras a bit can help you get into a better space so that you're not blown out with whatever issue is going on. Now we're moving into your heart. And you can have that open about maybe 40% of what it's capable of. And your throat chakra, expression, have that open about 50% of what it's capable of. And now you're moving up to your sixth chakra, your third eye, which is in between your eyes in the center of your head. That's known as the place of clairvoyance and sight. You're going to allow that to open 100%, just to the best of your ability. Imagine it. And keeping your attention there, moving up to your crown, the top of your head, that's where you begin to meet the spirit world. And you're just imagining that opening up 100%. Remember, you're protected. With your symbol, we've done a lot of protection in this room, and we've done clearing. So this is an example of getting aware of your personal space to work with your emotions and your energy body. And what I've just done is I've put you in what we call a reading state. So if you were to do a psychic reading, this is the configuration that you would have your chakras in, or something approximating it. So just returning to normal breathing and just letting your chakras do what they want to do right now. And gently opening your eyes. Some of you may know how to govern yourself through that type of procedure. Some of you don't. But the grounding and the working with the chakras is really essential, as is using meditation, the M word. I really didn't like meditation for a long time. It was boring. Plus, I just had too much to think about. And I would rather do prayer than meditation. So I found a meditation that works for me. I did guided meditations for a long time, which is better than nothing. You know, you listen to what people have recorded. And then what I'm working with at the Foundation for Spiritual Development is a meditation called Running Energy. And we've worked up to 50 minutes where you run one colored energy up the chakras, one down the chakras, and then there's a cleansing process that happens. And that keeps you busy, it keeps you focused, and it clears your energy field. What I am really coming to understand is that we are so fried and frazzled and caught in a million directions, and now the technology and the social media has added to it, that we are out of our minds. You know, we're way off into cyberspace, and we're out of nature. We're out of the Gaiac realm. And it's really, really important to get back into the Gaiac realm. A lot of you already know that. And I mean, I always have to remind myself this. But meditation is one way to get you back down, grounded, while also opening to the upper realms and the information that's available to you. Because if you really want to be receiving extraordinary information from your guides, you have to put yourself into the receptive place, okay? So the daily meditative practice is pretty critical, especially now. And then the connecting and the walking out in nature, because that's not just like, oh yeah, I guess I should just go breathe fresh air. You know, it's these trees all have information, and if you start becoming open and opening your psychic channels, you'll be able to hear it suddenly, whereas you wouldn't before. And that's what the guides are telling me they really want people to get back to. Feel your feet on the ground, connect with these landforms and these elements, and here, especially in the Bay Area, and I think this is why such a gathering of this nature is happening here, because we have so many sacred spots. We've got all the 7 mountains here: Mount Tam, Mount Diablo, Mount Burdell, Twin Peaks in San Francisco, Red Hill in San Anselmo, Ring Mountain. You know, there's a few others. And they are wanting everyone to come to awareness of these places and the power that's there. The Native Americans used to hold the power, and they used to conduct the rituals, because the rituals would allow for the communication, and they would allow for the grid to remain healthy over the whole entire area. And that has been disrupted because so many of the Native Americans have been killed, and now we don't have caretakers of these spots. So people are really being called to awaken in a serious shamanic way, to go back and be caretakers and workers and openers of portals and tenders of portals in these spaces. And there's a lot of them in the Bay Area. So this is another level of organization that's going to be happening as we move into the future. But it really starts with you finding your connection with yourself, number one, then nature, number two, and then your teachers. You know, who are the groups and who are the teachers who know more than you, who can keep you going higher and higher levels and remind you and make you come back. Because, right, we're all in front of the computer now 24/7, or the handheld, or now it's in our ear. So this is just really critical information that they're wanting to get forth to men and women. The altered state work, also really important. So in addition to opening up your channel and being able to move into psychic receptivity, doing more high octane, high level work is important. And there are numbers of ways that you can enter into altered states of consciousness where you will be clearly, much broader, and you won't have any doubt about the spirit world, or you'll know you're not making it up because you're in a pretty deep, you're in the realms. And so there are, various means of doing it. Folks use drumming sometimes, fasting, dancing long periods of time, the sun dances, sweat lodges. Everyone has their own medicine. There's holotropic breath work, which is a rapid breathing in and out for like 10 or 20 minutes or more, which will definitely put you in an altered state, and there are practitioners who work that. And then there's also clarity breath work, which is a bit gentler and is the one that I recommend. There are many practitioners in this area. Clarity breath work, Ashana Solaris and Deanna DeLong do this work. And that will open you. It will allow you to be able to start communicating. And then, of course, there are the medicines. And how many people in here have used medicines? Okay. So some of you know, some of you have had that experience. That is a pretty intensive and deep shamanic path. Because when you're working with the medicine realm, it will open you up in an extreme way, and sometimes a very uncomfortable way. So you have to be prepared for that and be working with the right teachers in the right setting, with the right medicine for you, and sometimes it's trial and error. So if you're working in the medicine realms, you will definitely be unequivocally called, visited, haunted, nauseated, healed, stripped by these beings who are wanting to clear and cleanse you so that you can go ahead and do this work. Right. So the medicine path is a very intense one, and it is one that I've noticed does appeal to a lot of men, but what I see is that they don't really understand it as a path. They understand it as, I went and did some ayahuasca, or I did mushrooms at Burning Man, or whatever. So it's like, what comes to me is that it would be helpful for it to become a little more organized and ritualized, so that you can, because the more organized you are and the more formalized it goes, you will create these portals together, and then you will start taking the work on to higher and higher levels. And that's what's needed at this time. Okay, so just a couple of more things. One of the things that the guides keep harping on with me, and I know that this is in the ethers, a lot of people and teachers, and maybe some of you are receiving it, is that they are highly encouraging the full activation of human DNA. So, because apparently what's happened is that a lot of parts of our DNA have been switched off. And the more is switched off, the less we can become aware in a fifth dimensional way to what's really going on in the world. And there are certain forces that like to keep it that way. So any kind of meditation you do to activate your DNA, and all you need to do, and we're just going to do it right now. So I'm going to take us through two meditations very briefly. The other thing the guide said to me last night is that there's a strong recommendation for men to create a movement called Men of Heart. Because what's needed now is an integration of the lower chakras and the upper chakras through the heart channel, the heart portal. And that this will be a really important way for men to channel their energy outward now. Because a lot of it is either mental activity or it's sexual activity, and like those two need to be united and come out. So they've given me this meditation that I'm going to take you through, and you are in perfect free will with whether you want to participate or not. But If you do want to participate, I invite us all to close our eyes. Oh, yeah. Well, do you want us to do that now or and come back?
You don't need to, but I do, so you may proceed. I'm feeling restless. I'm hearing into the room.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Why don't we take a little break and then come back? We'll take a 10-minute break, okay? And then we'll come back.
That's good. But okay, thank you.
Okay. As we move into the meditation, closing our eyes and taking a deep breath in. First connecting with your breath and exhaling. And once again, reestablishing that grounding trunk. Reestablishing that symbol of protection. Your auric field, your awareness of the cosmic womb, and now becoming aware of the lower part of your body as a kind of conical vortex that moves up to a point in your heart. All of the energies of the lower part of your body, it's like a cone that moves into a point. And feel the energy stream of that moving from your root, from your grounding, all the way up into your heart, and you're transmitting that consolidated energy up into your heart. You're just seeing that move as a flow. And you're now seeing the reverse from the top part of your body moving in a cone whose point is down and moves into your heart. A three-dimensional cone. And you're sending those two cones, the energy of those two cones, into the point of your heart, and you're shooting it out in every direction from your heart. Relaxing your belly, there's no efforting, you're just seeing these two cones of vortex energy meeting in the point in your heart, and that being the expansion outward. And now as you're doing that, technically, now you're feeling the love vibration. You're moving into the love vibration. So it's as though you're transmuting all of yourself into the love field. And it's this emotional energy, this loving energy that you are radiating out from this point in your heart. This is the great alchemical transformation that we are being called to do, men and women and all genders at this time. relaxing the vortex aspect of it now. Just staying with that radiating of the light of love coming out of your heart in every direction into infinity. This is becoming one with the Sacred Heart. And to amplify this, you allow this love vibration to be generating love for yourself first. And if you need help, you can observe the energy field of the great beings of love who've been with us on the planet. The Christed ones, the Marys, the Taras, the Buddhas. You can allow them to touch you with that golden light of unconditional love. As you continue to radiate it outward, now seeing it connect with the light of all the other men in the room. And seeing it connect with the heart chakras of all the people on the planet. Reawakening the heart grid. And as we allow greater quantities of love for ourselves, we are able to transmit greater quantities of love. So if you are feeling not as in touch as you could, it's all right. It just shows you that there's a place for you to go with this practice if you wish. And now coming back to regular consciousness, still with your eyes closed, feeling yourself ground and center. Now become aware of the DNA in your body. It's in every cell. See yourself radiating from your DNA. See your DNA shimmering through putting your attention onto it. And we are calling upon the unconditional beings of love and light and golden energy. We are now intending the healing of our DNA. That includes the DNA in your reproductive areas that may go into creating another human being. Because they're showing me that it's important for men to sanctify their sperm with intention in order to bring forth higher level consciousness beings. Now I'm going to share a meditation that was given to me. I've been doing it. I believe that it is okay to do it. You're going to see the 2 strands of your DNA in that helix. And if you wish to affect the full activation of your DNA, you're going to see those 2 strands coming together as one Kundalini snake. And we're affirming the full activation of your DNA. All the DNA that is positive to be turned on is being turned on so that you may awaken fully to who you are, so that your consciousness may awaken fully to what is needed. And feeling your body in the chair, wiggling your toes and your fingers, taking a deep breath, exhaling, gently opening your eyes.